Well, Julian, here we go. Second one of the podcast. And I think, as we said last week, end of May, beginning of June, anybody of our age, all different ages, if you're a motorcycle man, woman, boy, girl, means one thing, doesn't it?
It's TT time. I mean, as most people know, I was never a big man for the roads and don't know a vast amount about it. But the way in the last few years the event has regained some of its old importance on the world stage is quite astonishing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it lost its world championship status 77.
Mm.
And then we had what, TT Formula 1, 2 and 3. But it was dying 10, 15 years ago, but they grabbed it by the scruff of the neck, and it's come as a really big worldwide event now, isn't it?
I mean, we're seriously sitting here the week after Silverstone. The date change, as we said last week, was inexplicable and didn't work. And one of the reasons serious people, not just TT fans, are saying is one of the problems was that it was too close to the TT. And nobody is arguing, it is, you'd said that 10, 15 years ago, you'd have been laughed into next week.
Yeah, so a lot of people have said, what is the TT? They certainly don't know.
Absolutely. And
You've got a couple of theories, haven't you? Come on.
I have. I mean, the first one is a little obscured. It's the start of TT0 in 2010, because that actually got the TT back into newspapers. Because it was
national newspapers, yeah.
It got a lot of media attention. The tragedy of TT0 was the death of Michael Schuss, because he was the only bloke who was going to give Mugen a race.
Yeah.
And when he left us, the Mugen was left to perform a parade lap.
Yeah, yeah. And the other big thing, and you only have to speak to people throughout the world, is the television coverage, isn't it?
Well, exactly, Nick. I mean, in terms of the attitude over the past few years, I mean, I can't move during TT race week for friends, neighbours, acquaintances going, oh, I watched that. They don't know one end of a Moto Grand Prix bike from the other. But same day coverage on a mainstream channel, ITV4, isn't it?
Yeah.
9 o'clock. It's a fantastic achievement.
And worldwide now as well.
And that, I think you've hit on another big point there, that certainly when North One were doing it, they flogged it. It was their old Formula One crew.
Yes, it was.
Wasn't it? Who won BAFTAs and things.
Yeah.
And they sold it to a worldwide market.
And the coverage and the people stop me, as I'm sure they do. That onboard, they can't go that fast. They can't. They do, though, don't they?
This is the astonishing thing. I mean, and again, if I had my cynical hat on, I would say 10 years ago, you'd said to me, TT, I'd have said, well, yeah, there's John McGuinness and a couple of others, but the rest it's a club race. And now, some of the fields aren't that deep, but bloody hell, they're quick at the top of that. Really.
Right.
Bloody hell.
We've been talking earlier, lap records. I mean, things that
Crib sheet.
I grew up watching the TV. You just wouldn't have believed.
No.
You just can't comprehend it.
Now, let's get this right. Official lap records have to be set.
Have to be in a race, don't they?
Which I've always said is the right way to do things.
I think so.
So 135.452 by Peter Hickman.
But I think he's even gone faster in qualifying, and he's done 136.
Yeah, 0.35 or something. And that is okay. I know over the years tarmac's been improved, some bits have been straightened out, but it's still 37 and a bit miles
over a mountain,
country road, over a mountain in the Irish Sea.
Oh, amazing. And I'm going to ask you a question. I know this isn't turning into a quiz. from the start, remember, like Glen Crutchley Road, Bray Hill, down they go to Glen Helen, which
Then
would
Helen. Okay,
take
that's
me on a fast bike. Well, I thought it was a fast bike, about 25 minutes. What sort of time did you think it took somebody like Hickman to do? Any ideas?
that is a scary thought because it's quick all the way, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
That's almost apart from. Are we at Ballacrane?
Yeah, we've just gone through
We've just
Ballacrane,
gone through Ballacrane, and then
the
it's Glen
start.
Helen,
That's
isn't
Glen
it?
Helen, isn't it? Yeah. So
Oh, the only bit of braking you're doing, apart from the bridge at the Spreadon Bridge,
yeah, and Quarter Bridge, I suppose. Yeah.
Quarter Bridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Quarter Bridge. I'm sorry, I told you I'm
Yeah.
not an expert. Would be Ballacrane. What? So
Yeah.
half the time you did it in.
Ha! 4 minutes,
What?
5 seconds.
Excuse me
I
while
mean-
I go for a lie down.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about my sidecar lap, as probably you've heard it 550 times before, but I didn't even open my eyes till we got to Quarter Bridge.
Very wise.
Yeah.
Very
Just
wise.
Just a quick reflection on MotoGP without going into it, but you told me last week Silverstone produces great racing. Boy, we got 3 fantastic races, didn't we?
It's always produced good racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are lots of issues with Silverstone, which I accept completely.
Yeah.
For people who actually have to pay their own hard-earned money to go there.
Yeah.
But the lack of good racing is not an issue. It has always provided much better racing than Donington Park. On a straight dry race, I'm talking about, Nick.
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
You know, not
And I think-
in the wet.
And I think the last 2 MotoGP results in particular, Zarco winning on the Honda, obviously Vizecchi winning on the Aprilia, I think it's just what MotoGP needed as well.
It's almost perfect. You couldn't have scripted it better.
No, you couldn't actually.
Because a month ago, I'd have been putting a large amount of money on Ducati winning every race and us not seeing another maker bike on the podium.
Yeah,
And then look what happens, you know.
I know.
And-
Thank goodness.
And we should know better because motorcycle racing always has a habit of turning you into a liar when you make sweeping statements like that, doesn't it? It's
Especially when we were journalists.
especially, yeah.
In your previews.
I go with a Murray Walker quote here, Nick,
Yeah,
which is, I do not make mistakes. I make predictions which are immediately proved wrong.
yeah. Sums up motorcycle racing at all levels.
Yeah,
perfect.
completely. And you're right. There couldn't have been a better outcome for the championship. Aprilia, who we were all sucking our teeth and thinking, oh dear, you know, that's turned into a complete bleep show, hasn't it? That's got, you know, KTM is still, there's some very big questions about KTM in the future.
We could do with a KTM victory soon, couldn't we?
We could really, but that is unlikely.
Oh, yeah.
Watch this space.
So KTM to win in Aragon at the next
Obviously,
round.
yeah. Brad Binder from the back of the grid.
So, but back to the TT.
Yes,
1907 it started, and it was a good old British government with a speed limit that got it to the island, wasn't it?
That was it, because the Isle of Man is an independent territory, isn't it? It's Crown dependency. I forget what the correct political.
You're probably going to be locked in the tower now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the knock.
Might disappear in a minute.
Yeah, the knock on the door will be here. But, yes,
a beefeater.
They didn't have to obey some of the rules and regulations. So off everybody toddled to the Isle of Man to do
race motorbike. And the first course, I think, was from Peel to Kirkmichael. It wasn't the present day course.
No,
was it?
No, it wasn't.
And I have been along the road from Peel to Kirkmichael, and that's it with the sea views. Obviously, it ran Warriors. It stopped. Then it started again in '49, which was very important, wasn't it? Because it was the first ever World Championship race.
It was the first Grand Prix. There were races that were called Grand Prix before the war, but that was just like me calling I don't know. I'm going to those two snails over there. I'm going to call it the Grand Prix de Cheshire. Has that status? Yes, an official FIM sanctioned series of Grand Prix races for a world title, and the first one was the Isle of Man.
Yeah, and I think Freddie Frith won the first one. It was a 350cc race
Yep.
on a Velocette because British riders and British machinery dominated. It was only, 4 years after the end of the war, and it was
Indeed.
like a big relief to everybody, I would imagine, that some big sporting event that they could cheer, and I believe they packed the Isle of Man. And a certain Jeff Duke was on his way then, and they soon found a hero, didn't they?
Absolutely. And historical note, Formula One Grand Prix didn't start till 1950.
That's right, Silverstone, the Grand Prix of Europe. Yeah.
So bikes were there first.
And we like saying that, don't we?
Yeah, I do. I love it. And the TT was the first Grand Prix of the season for quite a while.
Yeah, it was for a long, long time.
I mean, certainly into the 50s when the Italian factories often wouldn't go to the first or second race. And in the days when, there was no compulsion whatsoever to do the whole lot. There was no compulsion to do any. You could just turn up and enter.
Yeah, and in some classes and in some years, you didn't need to count all your races for points, did you? They took a certain proportion of the races. I have trouble with 25-20, whatever it is now. But I would have been completely hopeless then when you took the best 8 races or something. But that was the case.
Didn't they try it for a year in the 80s as well?
I think they may well have done, yeah.
Brought it back, but quickly knocked the idea on the head.
Everyone counts, yeah.
There's nothing worse than as a spectator at the track or in front of your TV. I'm watching something. Does it really matter?
Oh,
if there's a chance it doesn't matter, why am I watching it?
Yeah, no, very much so. But the TT, as I say, 49, and it ran all the way through with some great sporting heroes.
Yes.
I first went, I read about it, seen it on Jeff Duke on the Pathé News, I remember so well. On the Norton to start with over Ballaugh Bridge, and then later on the Gilera. So many. But in the end, I went in 65. I was,
Blimey.
I won't tell you, I was quite young. And 12 and 6, Motorcycle Magazine day trip. Well, it wasn't really a day trip. It was a night trip. You went on the ferry, I think, at midnight over to the island.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, packed ferry. Sat on the seafront at 4 o'clock in the morning. Then they picked you up in a coach and took you around the course. And I'm going to admit something that I've never admitted to anybody else before, Julian. I slept the whole way. My first trip round the mountain circuit, and I slept the whole way in a pack of a coach.
Who can blame you, frankly? It was. Yeah. I didn't go till 1980.
Oh, right. Well, that was a fair bit later, wasn't it?
Fair bit later. And it was to do with the launch of a magazine. And I have to admit, for various reasons, I don't remember a lot about it at all.
Yeah. Could it be alcohol?
Related, yes. Certainly there may have been a drink taken. But it was, and I slept all the way back from the train from Liverpool back down to London.
But I think for a lot of people, certainly people of my age and who were so keen on motorcycles, it became a pilgrimage. It was a pilgrimage, and it was much, much more than just the racing. It was going to the Isle of Man. I went in.
Is true.
Yeah, 68. I went on my 250 Honda Super Sports with a big tall guy on the back, Nicky Jennings. So it wasn't it wasn't the ideal bike, but indeed, everything was exciting. The journey up, no M6 then, through the Mersey Tunnel. We weren't used to doing that. Queuing up on the quayside, there was somebody with an accent we couldn't understand serving you tea. And they'd crane your bikes on, wouldn't they? Yeah. They'd crane them onto the ferry.
First year I went, it was just driving to the hole. We'd gone modern.
Oh, yeah, no, we were still craning up the other end. Then you had your tank siphoned out, didn't
That's
you?
right. So you used to
And
get
it
a
was quite a
sticker.
trophy to
Yeah,
have it on your tank. That it said TT races tank.
drained.
So,
Yep, absolutely.
but then it was all about staying in a guest house.
Yep.
I think we had 5 in the same room in Glad's guest house, 5 lads overlooking Douglas Hub. The rules were don't be late for meals, doors close at midnight, though the
Yep.
loo window is always on. No girls. May I assure you, no girls would have come near 5 guys sleeping in.
A highly unlikely situation.
That's right. And just every Manx radio, commercial radio. I've heard Radio Luxembourg, commercial radio was just coming into Britain, but that's the first time I really heard adverts on the radio, and I can still hear them now.
And now you mention it, the first time I heard about the TT, it must have been, it was the home service. It was Murray Walker on the radio.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
And it was, I remember it was Kel Carruthers winning.
All right.
So it would have been the 250.
On the Benelli, yes,
Benelli.
it was. Yeah, very much so.
So that's, I can remember I was revising for exams, sat in the kitchen.
Well, obviously 11 plus then in those.
Absolutely, Nick. Yeah, with the, with the radio on, whatever the sports BBC channel was then, home service, live programme, whatever.
Yeah.
Home service, I assume. And there was Murray, giving it the full stentorian updates from the grandstand.
I heard the epic, one of the greatest TT races ever, the Hayward Agostini battle. Hayward on the Honda, Agostini on the MV when his chain broke. But unbelievable. I listened to that race sitting in the car with my Vidor radio that you could open the lid. One of those. I think it was my sister's. I listening to Murray commentating the race. Yeah.
What a treat. There's something you'll never forget.
That's right. And Peter Neal's voice. I can hear Peter Neal's voice.
Yes.
Dear Peter, what the voice that just symbolised the Isle of Man.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That was the sound of the TT of the Isle of Man.
Mist on the mountain. Yeah. So then I went every year for a long time. And it was a pilgrim, rather like now, I think a lot of people go to Jerez, don't they? It's usually the opening European Grand Prix of the season. They get 200,000 plus there. Yes. And it's a pilgrimage to the south of Spain. It's the start of the season in many, many ways.
And there were plenty of people, especially in my neck of the woods, up here in the northwest, of course.
Oh, yeah.
You're only 40 odd miles from Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's an easy journey.
Yeah.
But the thing that in recent years, back to this recent revival, Nick, is if I'm on the motorway at any time, on the 56 or whatever, going towards Liverpool, I'm going to see my mum in Chester, and the number of bikes with foreign plates on.
Absolutely.
It was always popular with the Germans. I always used to think, oh, it reminds them of the Nürburgring or, something trite like that. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But nowadays, it's Italian, Scandinavian, Dutch, Belgian, most of Europe is represented.
And again, that's a lot to do with television, isn't it?
And you get, and when you watch the telly, and so the interviews are happening in the paddock or, there, Australians, Canadians, finally got round to making the journey. A few years ago, it was a bunch of Nigerian guys, and impressively, they'd ridden up.
Yeah.
It's a world.
It's like on the bucket list, I think, now for any motorcycle racing fans or motorcycle fans. It's somewhere you have to go at least once.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's sort of Jerez, Assen, the Bol d'Or, maybe.
Oh, yeah, definitely Bol d'Or.
Nowadays, maybe the only thing you can see at Spa is the 8-hour race, which is a bit not what it used to be, but it's still. And the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
I would thoroughly, something I didn't think I'd say ever again in my life a few years ago.
Well, of course, it lost its World Championship status, didn't it, in 1977? And I mean, I know because I was a journalist around at that time,
Yes.
and it obviously was coming, wasn't it? Because
Oh,
people like Agostini said they wouldn't ride there again. The Spanish Federation said they wouldn't let their riders ride there
yes.
again, all through fatalities of friends and countrymen. And in
And
'77,
oh,
it did lose its World Championship status and went to Silverstone,
yes,
the World Championship round. Yeah.
yes. And you mentioned it earlier that the F1, F2, F3 world titles were put in as sort of one race championships.
That's right. Then they used to go to Assen, didn't they? When we
That's
go there,
right.
they
It
raced them
expanded a
on the
little bit.
Thursday night, didn't they?
Yeah,
And I went to Misano once with Joey Dunlop one.
yeah.
Villarreal in Portugal. That was a
Villarreal,
famous
yes.
circuit. I mean, yeah, it was a street circuit, wasn't it?
So was that where Rutter had his?
No. Well, sadly, it was my only trip to Montjuic Park.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
and that was motor. It was Formula One, Formula Two, Formula Three. I think it was the Formula Two race. He had a terrible accident,
Yes,
but it was also the 24-hour race at Montjuic
yes.
Park. And I, I've. You think the TT's crazy? 24-hour race in Barcelona. I have. It was amazing, and it was the weekend of Live Aid. It's funny how you remember, isn't it? I can remember watching Live Aid on the television and all those incredible bands at Wembley,
Indeed.
and here we were at Montjuic
Blimey.
watching incredible motorcycle races at 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, it was. Uh, that was again a road circuit, wasn't it? Park.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Like racing around Hyde Park,
yeah, very much so, but
only with
a lot
hills.
higher up, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Overlooked the city, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It was. But it's this rebirth of the TT that I continue when I just stand back a bit. I marvel at it.
yeah,
I think, well, Pete Hickman's 135 mile an hour. That was a factory BMW engine in that bike.
yeah.
And that 10, 15 years ago, I remember being told by a senior manager from one of the big four importers in the UK, they'd stopped effectively having a works team. And so it obviously wasn't Honda, because Honda have that respect for tradition of their first race.
Yeah, very much so.
And this guy said, well, no, we don't go anymore. He doesn't sell motorbikes anymore.
Mm.
And
Well, I
that was
think
a
it's a
bit of a
story
slap,
now.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. So, and you've been since,
Mm.
and we were talking earlier who your favourite riders. I think we've all got favourite riders around there. That first year I went at 65, I saw both Hayward and Agostini in action in the 500 race. I was pretty
Spoiled.
both, and would you believe both crashed in separate incidents at Sarah's cottage? But Hayward jumped on and won, and I was hooked on Hayward. And being an Oxford boy as well.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I remember cycling to school where hadn't done my homework as Nora, never really fed up down Park End Street, past Kings of Oxford, and in the window was Mike Hayward's 250cc Honda. Stan Hayward owned Kings of Oxford, the motorcycle shop, that he'd won the TT on. I just could not believe it. Below homework and compulsory rugby and or anything else, there was the 250 Honda that Mike Hayward had won the TT. I'll never forget.
No,
And it's Steve Hislop, I think, struck a chord with you, didn't he?
yeah, I mean, everybody liked Hizzy,
Oh, yeah.
unless you were his teammate or team manager occasionally, when he could drive you a trifle around the bend.
Yeah.
But he, you know, I bow to nobody in my admiration for Joey Dunlop, by the way.
Oh, my God.
But
29 TT wins?
24, 29,
Yeah.
Nick, I'd have to get the books out.
Well, yeah. More than anybody else, we know.
Yes, the most. And the couple of times that I, and this is, let me emphasize, the couple of times that I had the chance to see them, Hizzy made Joey look ragged in places.
Yeah.
He was so incredibly precise, so smooth. And the difference now, when you watch somebody like Hickman, Hickman's riding it like a superbike on a short circuit.
So violent, isn't it?
Yeah, there's the violence, exactly the word. And you think, how in God's name is he doing that? And the interesting thing is, was it last year at Silverstone, there was a bit of a get-together, Motor Grand Prix guys and some of the TT guys. And they're all, there's the Banyayas and all grabbing Hickman and grabbing Dunlop and saying,
Yeah.
what do you do in here? What's this? There is the recognition that was not even hinted at a decade ago.
No, that's right. That's right. Well, I have actually taken part in the TT, Jules. The lap time will not count because it wasn't in the race. It was in practice. But as usual, alcohol was the cause of the whole thing. Redgate Lodge, Dunnington, Big Mouth Harris, far too much to drink one Saturday night, informing the accompanying sidecar riders, drivers and passengers that anybody could ride a sidecar.
Oh, you must have had a lot. You must have had a lot.
I used to find that ale up there a bit strong. Marston's, was it not?
Yes.
For an Oxfordshire boy.
I grew up on Marston's.
Anyway, I was shouting my mouth off. Next day, come back in the paddock. Trevor Harrison collars me, winner of the both TT races previous year. Right, Nick, we've arranged for you to do the first lap of practice in the TT. What about license? Don't you worry about that. It's all been taken care of. You'll have an international license. Big mouth. Worst to come. Mick Wooler, editor of Motorcycle Weekly, thought it was a great idea, make a great feature, but we need a colour front page for the TT issue. I was going to Arama for the Spanish Grand Prix. There were sidecars there. Take a picture in the paddock with Trevor, Clive, and the outfit.
This is because in those days, for a newspaper, you'd have to do your colour a week in advance.
That's absolutely right. I thought that sounded fine. Put the leathers on, get a bit, practice a few positions in the chair, ready for the TT. But Trevor had a different thought, different pattern to follow. No. We want an action picture. So he had a plan with Clive.
I love the way that Trevor thinks he can edit Motorcycle Weekly better than Mick Woollett as well.
Well, yes. We would go out in qualifying. We'd do 2 or 3 laps, get some couple of quick ones in. Then we'd come in. Clive would jump out. You'll be in the back of the pits in a set of his spare leathers. Put his helmet on. We go out and do 3 or 4 laps of qualifying. Crazy. Egbert Stroyer, Rolf Beelan, Derek Jones, you name them. Of course, they're out there. It's qualifying for the Spanish Grand Prix. We had the wheel in the air. We had everything. But we did get a picture. But I remember lying in bed that night thinking, that is the craziest thing I ever did. Although, doing the TT lap, I remember being in the pits there at the top of the Glen Crutchley Road. The sodas had just come in when they saw me in the leathers. Mick Grant and Carol, his wife, couldn't stop laughing. They laughed so much they were crying. Graham Crosby asked me if I owed him any money because he'd like to settle it now. Dear old Roger Marshall was really nice and said, "Be careful, Nick." That was it.
Oh, dear.
Down Bray Hill, over Agos Leak, down to Quarter Bridge, I did not open my eyes. But we without going into a lot of details, apart from bruising and everything else, we did complete the lap.
And I must say, that feature you produced is one of the great bits of writing in the past 20-odd years, 30 years in the British motorcycle press. And you're a news guy, really, but it was a fantastic feature. Absolutely superb. Find it somewhere, folks. Read it. It's brilliant.
Chariot to Hell. I remember. Still, at the end, we'd lapped at 92 miles an hour. What? I was pretty chuffed with that. 92 mile an hour lap.
What?
Jock Taylor and Benger Johansson that year won the Sidecar TT average speed of 108 a lap now. And I think they're lapping at 120 now or somewhere near that.
That's terrifying. What a nice couple of guys, Jock Taylor and Benger Johansson.
Oh,
as well as fast.
Oh, world champion and that terrible day at Amatra in
Indeed,
1982. A year later, I was there in
indeed.
the pouring rain when Jock lost his life. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's my claim to fame, a 92-mile-an-hour lap. I didn't see an awful lot of it because my eyes were closed a great deal of the time.
Very wise. Yeah. I think the first lap I did was 1980. Yamaha were launching the LCs.
Ah, yes.
We had a few about there for the press, so I did a couple of laps on LCs. And I distinctly remember pulling a wheelie, a totally inadvertent one, after the waterworks, right-hander, gooseneck.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
Wheelied up here, and I cannot do wheelies. I found myself, the thing up here.
Well, again, we talk about the pilgrimage, and a lot of it was being able to ride the course, wasn't it? To actually ride your bike on the course was special.
And then try and contemplate and understand what Peter Hickman and Michael Dunlop and the rest are doing. And you can't.
No, you can't. There's absolutely no way you can fathom out. Your brain just kind of some of that onboard camera stuff.
Yes.
I must admit, I was watching the Formula One from Monaco, and I had that same feeling. I'm not the biggest Formula One fan, but how do they drive those cars that fast? Yeah. How do they ride those motorcycles that quick through on a very different course? But they are.
Yeah,
from somewhere else, aren't they? They're from somewhere else.
There are some places you go and you stand beside the track. Let's take Le Mans. Because it's short corners, it's, brake, turn, go. And you stand there and think, well, I could do that. Totally erroneously, you think, oh, come on. But you stand beside somewhere like Silverstone or Phillip Island or Mugello, and you go, no, I couldn't.
I went to Silverstone on Friday for practice, and I stood at the first corner, and those very thoughts came to my mind. I spent most of my working life stuck in the commentary box.
Yes.
As you know, you're not even looking out the windows most of the time. You were looking at a screen, looking at the timing screen. And it made me realise just how much I'd missed. And one, how much older I'm getting. Two, how much younger the riders are getting. And three, how mighty fast those motorcycles are going.
Yes, I know. Who are those children? That's the Moto3 grid. That's the Moto3 grid, sir. It's and I was the same. I hated the only thing I disliked about the BT Sport years. We commentated down in the TV
television compound, didn't you? Yes.
Yeah, in a bloody container with no windows.
Yeah.
And you kept tell us about the place, get us the atmosphere. Well, you put me in the commentary box at Barcelona in the top of the grandstand looking over the place.
Yeah.
Or the one at Suzuka looking over the grid. I'll give you some atmosphere.
Yeah, that's right. But it was,
I hated it because...
And then you get the cleaner coming in the middle.
That was Turkey, yes. Yeah.
We had the person cleaning the windows in Valencia when the practice was on.
And food being delivered in Germany, including a bottle of beer. I always liked the Saxon ring. It was a litre of beer comes with your lunch.
Well, I've got some stories about your food that you won't know about, how we played a few tricks on you. And
dear.
We're perhaps when we're going to talk about Aragon next week. And
yes,
going to a new circuit was always interesting. And
it was.
We talk about the food, and I've got a little story about how I upset the King of Spain and his loo, but we come on to that. But Aragon, Jules, I reckon the best kept secret in MotoGP, don't you? What a place.
I think that's a wonderful way to put it. It's a fabulous circuit. It's an amazing drive up from the coast to get there.
Yeah.
And you drive through what looks like Clint Eastwood's film set from a physical.
Well, I think they filmed some of the cowboy films there, didn't they?
Not far away, and it's High Sierra. And you look down, there's a town on the way, and you look down, and the ancient walls and Roman
castle, wasn't there?
And if you took the power lines out, I think a Roman soldier would have recognised it. It's that sort of feeling to the place.
Yeah,
astonishing part of the world.
Yeah. Next week we'll have a really good look and talk and a few memories of Aragon.
I,
A few
I,
secrets. Yeah, a few
yeah,
secrets.
yes, I
Commentary
think.
boxes, food, and the king. Yeah.
Yes, I think Aragon does bear examination because most people, I think everybody who's travelled, the first race you probably go to, because it's the easiest, is Barcelona,
Yeah.
because you can fly to Barcelona from everywhere and get home on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
If you're going by motorbike, you might go to Assen or Le Mans. But
Yes.
Aragon isn't on the list, is it?
No, well, it's difficult. I think you either camp or motor home because finding somewhere to stay is very, very
Very,
difficult.
very difficult.
And I stayed in some pretty dodgy places there. I can assure you.
We used to stay about an hour's drive away
Yeah,
towards, just heading back towards the coast ish.
yeah,
And we were in the same hotel as Factory Honda, Factory Ducati.
yeah.
So there wasn't anything any more local than that.
No, no.
There was the
Hey,
Paramore.
we're giving all our secrets
I
away
know,
next week.
I know.
All I want to say is by the time this goes out, TT practice will be well underway. Racing due to start on Saturday. I just wish everybody at the TT or road bikes, obviously people are racing, a safe TT. Yeah, and stay
Absolutely,
safe,
Nick.
everybody. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
And, I wish I was there with you.
And we'll see you in a week.
We certainly will. Plenty of stories to come. Take care, everybody. And as we both said, stay safe.